now we have time for a fun fact. Now, that may be a misleading kind of title, but what I like to do on my YouTube channel is something called Fun Fact Friday, where I share with you things that I learned or historical stories that I find are of merit and have something interesting to learn from them. So if you ever are on my YouTube channel, look up Fun Fact Friday. But here is a fun fact historical story for us today, where I think that there's actually a hidden meaning in this story and something that we can learn and apply to today, even though it happened quite a while back. Okay, so here we go. I am actually going to attempt some really terrible French here. So bear with me because I did not really grow up speaking French. So it is not really, it's a little bit, but not quite in my wheelhouse. But I will say there's a lot of crossover with Latin. And considering this takes place in a once Roman populated part of France, it makes a lot of sense. And France being a Romance language, which all stem from Latin, it makes sense. Our story begins quite tragically in 1874. There was a Parisian socialite by the name of Blanche Monnier. Blanche and the Monniers came from a very well-established, well-connected, respectable, and notable family. This Parisian socialite was described as very beautiful, charismatic, very colorful woman about town who came from a very well-off family. For many years, she was referred to as the La Sequestre de Poitiers, which basically in layman's terms means the Confined Woman of Poitiers. Now, what does this story have to do with? Very, very, very simple. Love, family connections, betrayal, sins of the mother come down to the child. Here we go. The Confined Woman of Poitiers has been known for many, many years, including well on up to today. Blanche was from, like I said, a very wealthy family, and at the age of 25, she fell in love with a person who was described as a penniless lawyer. Now, this news did not sit well with Blanche's mother, Louise. Louise Monnier really enjoyed and wanted to protect the reputation of the family at any cost. And unfortunately, that was a very, very high price to pay for her children and in relative respect and onto herself. Louise wanted her daughter to marry a very wealthy man of notoriety, and Blanche refused. When Blanche continued to refuse, Louise, her mother, took the situation into her own hands, and thus became the tale of the Confined Woman of Poitiers. What Louise did was she trapped her daughter, Blanche, in a room that was located upstairs in the Monnier mansion. She strapped her daughter to the bed in that room, padlocked her to the bed, and locked the door. In a mansion, it is not unimaginable to think that place has seen many things, and the walls hold many secrets, including what happened to Blanche Monnier. Louise not only padlocked her daughter to the bed and locked her daughter in the room, she and her son, the brother of Blanche named Marcel, came up with a story that Blanche, whenever anyone asked, oh, she ran away and disappeared. Now, because that family was in such high standing, they donated to a lot of charities, they were very well connected, people took that story at face value. They had absolutely no reason to suspect what was going on behind closed doors. Blanche remained in that room, on that bed, for 26 years. She was alone, trapped, chained, padlocked, and in the dark. In a sense, the Confined Woman of Poitiers. We're starting to see where that name actually comes from, tragically. This ruse was carried out for many, many years with nary a soul suspecting what was actually going on. For all reasoning, they literally thought that she just up and ran away and, like the family said, disappeared. For 26 years, she remained that way until in 1909, a suspicious letter arrived for the Attorney General of Paris. He received the letter, and when he read it, he was so disturbed that he actually sent police to the Monnier mansion, whereupon they discovered a just foul, grotesque smell coming from a door upstairs in the mansion. So they broke it down, and that is where they found Blanche Monnier. The odor was so bad upstairs in that room. It was so pungent, punching them in the face, so much so that they broke open a window. And that is when they realized that not only had Blanche suffered like this for 26 years, she suffered it in what was almost complete darkness. The light that came through that window showed light. It shone a light on all of the sins that came from love, familial ties, and betrayal. The once bright and beautiful socialite was now a shadow unto herself. She was malnourished. She was laying in a bed filled with her own filth. There was excrement. There was rotten food. There were bugs, and there were rodents who were, again, for all intent and purposes, her only companions for 26 years. The police were so shocked at what they found at the Monnier mansion that they arrested both Blanche's mother and her brother, Louise and Marcel. Now, Marcel was found not competent enough to stand trial. They found him mentally incompetent. And unfortunately, Louise's mother did not do the time for her crimes either. She died literally of a heart attack 2 weeks after the discovery of her daughter Blanche in the upstairs room of the Monnier mansion. Blanche herself died in 1913, just a few years after her discovery, and she died in a mental institution, never once giving up on the love that she felt for her penniless lawyer. Now, you may be wondering, what sort of hidden symbolism, Taeler, are you trying to find from this story that just made me so sad? There really is a point to this historical story. The point is, not everything is as it seems, and not all that glitters is gold. We oftentimes make assumptions about other people's lives on social media today. Now, obviously, this took place in 1874 all the way through to 1913. It was a very different world back then. Everything looked different. The perceptions were different. But moral values and lessons can still be the same and passed down from generation to generation. This is the point. In a social media world, we spend so much time in comparison to others, which is a root of so many insecurities and unhappiness instead of just being real. We tend to forget that not everything is as it seems on social media. And with us spending so much time on social media, we conflate what's reality and what's actually fake. And it's up to us to tell our brains what is real and what is not reality, okay? Reality is relative as it varies from person to person, and we perceive things differently as different individuals. But one thing that remains the same is not everything is as it seems. Stop comparing your goals or your social media or your looks or your whatever it is to somebody else's. You do not know what that person had to do to get to the level that they're at. Do not judge your level 1 to somebody else's level 100. We all have different journeys to go on, different life lessons to learn, and different trials and tribulations to make us better, stronger, more resilient people. Not everything is as it seems. Work on yourself and outward. Not taking everything outward, inward. That is a recipe for disaster and unhappiness and the lack of confidence to be who you are truly meant to be. Not everything is as it seems. Because on the outside, for over 26 years, people thought nothing but the absolute best of the Monnier family. Little did they know the secrets hiding in their mansion, including that of the tragic life of Blanche Monnier.